Think you know what way it's going to go? Make your bet at Sports Interaction.
We're on the road to the Super Bowl, and Sports Interaction has you covered pregame, live betting on all major sports and prop bets.
Want to bet? Head to sportsinteraction.com/SDPN.
19 plus, please play responsibly. So I started taking AG1 as part of my morning routine. And as someone who's always on the go and trying to get the right nutrition is something that I've struggled with for years. But AG1 honestly makes it so convenient. Like one scoop in the morning, it's all your health products in one. I just have my AG1, my coffee, and I'm ready to go. By far, the easiest habit I've added to my daily routine in 2023.
So I love it. I love it because it helps me to know that I'm hitting my vitamins and my greens intakes daily. I also feel phenomenal physically. I have more energy for the gym, for my work day, and even for practices whenever I have them during the week. I also love to start the new year with some goals. We spoke about it to keep that kind of like in the focus of like self-care, self-help, and AG1 is helping me have a healthier lifestyle right now. And my routine is easy to keep. I'm telling you, this one is a guaranteed achievable goal for this year and a new healthy habit I will keep for sure moving forward. So I love it. Thank you, AG1.
If a comprehensive solution is what you need from your supplement routine, then Athletic Greens is giving you a free 1-year supply of vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. Go to athleticgreens.com/TKKS. That's athleticgreens.com/TKKS. Check it out.
She scores!
Take a moment to look up at the ceiling. You're about to bust through it.
SDPN, the PWHPA, and Sports Interaction.
Want to bet?
Presents hockey like you've never heard it before. The Knoxy and Kax Show with Liz Knox and Karell Emard.
Let's get it. Go.
Welcome, hockey fans. As you watch today's episode, please watch out for flying pucks. Although measures have been taken to ensure your safety, in some instances, the puck may be propelled into the seating area with enough force to cause serious injury. The Knoxy and Kax Show. SDPN and its members are not responsible for any injury that may occur before, during, or after today's episode. Sit back and enjoy.
Woo! That was awesome. Of
So
course,
good.
that is our very special guest today, coming off her breakout performance as the in-house PA at the World Junior Championships in Halifax, Nova Scotia. Hailing from Guelph, Ontario, you may recognize her as the play-by-play voice from the PWHPA Secret Dream Gap Tour stop in Truro, Nova Scotia. We are so lucky to welcome to the show Isnash Germain.
Thank you, guys.
Even your handle I'm stumbling over. Like,
Welcome. Bienvenue. This is good.
Merci, merci. No, this is so exciting. I've been listening since episode 1, season 1. So this is really exciting.
loyal fan, and we're happy to have you finally on the show. Let's start back in Guelph where it all started. Tell us a little bit, because before you were, in your role now as a commentator, play-by-play announcer, you were, of course, a hockey player. So take us to where you grew up playing and kind of how your playing career panned out.
Yeah, well, I'll take it even before Guelph. I was a little Oakville Hornet to start. Very proud of my little Oakville Hornet. I think I was there for like 1 year when I was 5. But I have a really, really cool picture with the 98 Women's Olympic team from Oakville, and specifically Vicky Sonohara, who I then got to find an athlete, Maddie Walsh, who plays at the University of Toronto. So that was surreal. But yeah, my family and I moved to Guelph. I was 6 years old, and I was just playing house league, and the gym teacher at my school kind of said, like, she needs to be in something bigger, and introduced me to girls hockey in Guelph. And at the time, it was kind of more up and coming. There weren't many teams. So I actually had to play on a team. I was 3 years younger than the girls. And I had a great time. We won the OWHA championship in 2002, which was the first championship for Guelph. I have like a really cool video of me scoring a double overtime goal in
Okay, I hear a little brag here. This is pretty
so much of a brag, because like that was 2002. So if you do the math, I was 10 years old. I peaked at 10. And so I have to use, that's like my greatest moment ever. And my mom still has it on a VHS. I'll have to get that on DVD so I can continue to brag about it later on.
Or USB, whatever you can.
I guess USB now, DVDs are dead too. Gosh. But yeah, Guelph was a ton of fun. And I chose, I'm very lucky. I didn't have parents who really pushed me in hockey to kind of do more if I didn't want to do it. And, but I continued to love hockey until, I was lucky enough to get an opportunity to play at Dalhousie. And, you know, in Guelph, there's still a lot of amazing memories. I played for my high school. That's something different here in Nova Scotia. They don't necessarily play for both their high school and their club teams. They kind of have to pick. But I was so fortunate to play with both teams and we went, I'll brag again, Kax.
Let's go. I love it.
4 consecutive Quassa championships when I was in high school. So that's still something that I love.
So
and
everywhere you went, Izzy, championships were kind of
I know, I'm from still 10 years old for like Gina, good morning, hi, do you need help?
I don't think you saw me, but I guess.
But
okay, that brought you
saw me at 10, but I scored once.
Here's the VHS for you.
Here's the VHS. That's going to be my demo tape. But yeah, that like I love Guelph. I love getting home. I don't get home enough. I'm really excited to go back.
Oh, that's
awesome.
Okay, so wait, you said it brought you to Dalhousie. So then you went over to East Coast. So what brought you also to Nova Scotia, I'd say? Like, what's the jump
for my
here?
parents, I just kind of wanted to leave. I was just like, I got to get out of here. My dad's a pilot. My mom's a flight attendant. Traveling was always kind of in our DNA. And I hadn't had the opportunity to do a lot of that just because of hockey in Ontario and how demanding it was. So I figured if I had the opportunity to play hockey out east, it would be really, I'd never been to Halifax, Nova Scotia. I'd never been to Atlantic Canada. So I just thought it would be a really good opportunity to explore a different part of Canada.
Right,
and I had a friend who was going and she kind of said, let's figure it out. And I was lucky enough to play on the Tigers team. And it was the best decision.
That's awesome.
Did you play 4 or 5 years there? Like, tell us about your AUS career.
Yeah, so part of my AUS career, I guess, leads into a story that I omitted in my Guelph days. But I got a severe injury in grade 12 at the OFSA championships. I was knocked out and suffered a grade 3 concussion, which is actually a brain bleed in
medical terms.
In medical terms. And I didn't find out until October. So I got hit in March. I had fractures in my neck. I had a ton of other injuries. And so the doctors, and I was in a very rural place. The doctors didn't do a bad job. They just were focusing on the neck injury. My sternum was hit. My esophagus was pushed back. And
Jesus.
I had lost consciousness for enough time that there were other things to worry about, I guess, at the time. And the biggest thing of that story is that Crosby hadn't been hit at the Winter Classic. And I'll tell you why that's important. I then go training all summer to get ready for Dow. And at training camp, I just remember having these muscle pains like I've never felt. I was throwing up all day, every day. I couldn't wake up, but then I couldn't sleep at night. Like I had a lot of weird symptoms. And originally the doctor said, well, you just moved away from home. You're depressed. You obviously weren't
depressed. Was it? Okay, good.
And and I took that. I was like, oh, you know what? My first year of university, I don't know how to study. Obviously, I didn't train enough. But Crosby got hit that winter, and he got hit in the same area that I did. And the area that we both got hit is our temporal lobe area. So a side impact hit, which is a more dangerous hit than frontal lobe.
Yeah.
And as his doctors, just being from Nova Scotia, knew my doctors and just kind of said, you should take a CT scan of her brain and just kind of see what's going on there. And they did. And they found significant scarring. So it was enough to put my career on pause. So I found that out, in my first year. And was able to recover. I took the whole year off, was able to recover, played my second year and half of my third. And I saw my doctor at Christmas. And I was at the point where I needed surgery on my shoulder from a dislocation. I was going to need cortisone shots in my left hip from that incident as well. And my doctor just kind of said, like, you need to tell us if it's worth it, because we still don't know what's going on with your brain. I was having a ton of issues with light sensitivity, focus, concentration. Studying was not something that I was doing well at. And I was a good student.
it's so risky afterwards because any little hit can also make it like way worse, right? So
yeah, and university hockey is amazing hockey. Like it was intense, but the girls were a ton bigger than me. Had played, the last couple of years when I was sitting on the sidelines, and it was just becoming too dangerous. And to be honest, I wasn't having the best experience with the coaching staff, and just how I was being treated with my injury and being a part of the team. And it wasn't worth it anymore at the time. And it was devastating to stop hockey, but then it led to a different career path in sport.
I was going to say, and then it segued into who you are now and the voice of things. And, who would have known if you would have had the time to like cover all these sports and everything, I guess.
And I think that's such an important message too of, I struggled with it. I played through some really serious injuries, and I got to a point, I still am friends with the physio that was with my team at the time and the doctor that was with my team at the time. And they were having to tape my left shoulder from elbow to shoulder. It was taped to my torso. So I only have, and I'm a right-handed shot. So I had zero movement in the upper body of my left arm. So I'm like completely attached and I'm just like holding my stick. So I was using my right arm a lot, and just, it was very, very painful.
It wasn't enjoyable at all, I bet.
No,
like hockey was not.
I was having to pop it every so often just to like get it back into play. Like it just, even without the brain injury, like there was some physical issues that I hadn't dealt with. So, it was devastating though. Like it's really hard to give that up. It was all that I had ever known. I didn't party as a kid. I didn't do anything else but hockey. Yeah. And so to walk away after finally making a university team and being a part of that culture, I was more afraid of losing the girls and losing my friendships and that routine. I didn't know who I was as a person without a hockey team around me.
And that is such a, sorry, Knoxy, you can go after, but that is such a huge part of college. Is like, I got hurt too my junior year and a full year off. You're no longer a hockey player. You're just a student. You're rediscovering kind of like who you are as a person, or trying to, and you like you're a misfit in a way in the locker room. You can't help your team on the ice. You can't be part of it. So you don't feel like that love of that like whole camaraderie of being part of this. So I know exactly like what you're saying, Izzy. And I think that sometimes it's like all about also like making sure that you're choosing a school that makes you happy, and it's not just about hockey, right? So I don't know if Dalhousie was that for you in a way, or it became something like that. For
sure. Yeah. Like I mean, Halifax is an amazing city to begin with. Yeah. But Halifax's claim to fame is that we have the most bars per capita. And I am not.
So you didn't party is what you said. And then now you became that like life of the party.
No. And you know what? I had never had a drink of alcohol. So, and a lot because of this concussion that happened when it happened.
Moxie either,
right? Me neither.
I know I was a rare bird, but no, and you're right. And I think when I was when I was coaching and helping girls Maddie Walsh is a good example. Yeah. Maddie is obsessed with hockey. And I know you know that at the University of Toronto, but I wanted to make sure that she didn't just go somewhere to play hockey because God forbid if something happened like it did for me, you need to make sure that you have a school that you're going to get a good education out of and you're going to enjoy.
Yeah. And we've talked about this on the show, I think more so last season, but I feel like that is at the forefront of most female athletes' kind of train of thinking, just inherently because there's less opportunities for us after university. But it is one thing to decide to walk away from the sport or decide it's time. And it's another thing to, in some ways have that taken from you. And as Izzy, as you're saying, like this injury just out of nowhere impacted everything that you had, all the ideas you had about who you were as an athlete. So I want to ask you then, how, in those years where, like Kax is saying, you're either on the bench, maybe you're not getting a lot of playing time, or maybe you're in the stands entirely. How did that transition happen in your head from, okay, I thought I was going to be scoring double OT game-winning goal for Team Canada, and now I think I see this going a different direction. Like, did that consciously happen, or like, how did that happen for you?
So I had to redshirt my whole first year because once we discovered the brain injury, it was a full hard no. And there were two guys who were trying to start a webcast stream of the Dal men's hockey team. and they sucked. Like, there is no one who will ever deny this. They could not score a goal to save their lives. And these poor guys are up there and they're getting beat like 11-0. And they're up there trying to be like, Dal is great. Come play for Dal. Yeah. And so they called me down. I was selling 50-50 tickets at the men's game. I just got like, a student job working with the athletics recreation department. And they said, can you come up and help us just talk? Like, we're bored. And I said, yeah, I'll sell you a 50-50 ticket. Like, whatever. So I walked up, I sold them an arm's length of 50-50 tickets. It was a weird little interview. And at the end of the saying, the one guy said, can you help us promote, when are the girls going to be playing? Because I mean, they can't be any worse than these guys. And I said,
they were good too, no?
The girls, we were decent. Yeah, we were like fourth place. Like, again, not to brag, Kax, but
I like to put you on the spot like that, so you can
fourth place.
yourself.
I think is what we finished that first year. But I just said, yeah, you can watch the girls play Sunday at 2 p.m. here at the Dal Memorial Arena when we take on the Mount Allison what are they called? I don't know. Mount Allison, some Mounties.
Okay.
And they both looked at me like, oh my God.
Just now,
where did that voice come from?
You just did it like it was nothing.
Yeah.
Like, you just like, how do you do that? Like, this is amazing.
I didn't know that I could do that. I spoke and he kind of ripped his headset off. Nobody's listening anyways. And he said, you need to do this. And I was like, oh no, like, I'm the next superstar for the team. I don't have time. I'm just healing my brain. I'll be back. And so unbeknownst to me, they asked my coach if I could do color for the next women's game, and they were going to try and webcast a women's game. And she was like, she's no use to us, so take her. And so I went up, and I'd never done it before, and I got told game day, like I was ready to do my like fill up the water bottle duties, and I got told that I was doing color, and
hey, go upstairs.
I loved it.
Let's go.
And so like when I was playing, they kind of kept it in mind. And when I announced my retirement, when I just didn't show up, I guess. They said, do you want to try this? And I said, well, might as well. Like, they were going to pay me $20 to do it. $20 as a university student. I was
Let's
like, no,
go.
that's like a lot. That's 2 subways. Like,
That's like-
so I did it, but he showed up, and it was like, imagine just the laptop I'm sure you're looking at, and a headset similar to what Knoxy's wearing and what we wear at the PWHPA games. And he left. He gave me 2 rosters. It was St. Mary's versus the Windsor Lancers. I'll never forget it. And he sat me down and he said, good luck. And then I was like, excuse me? And he looked back and he said, you got it, bud. And I did the whole game by myself. So
oh my gosh,
that was kind of my saving grace. And I'll forever be thankful for that moment, because I was able to stay involved with hockey through broadcasting, and I was able to stay involved with both teams. I was doing St. Mary's and Dal women's hockey. And then it just kind of progressed from there.
That's amazing.
And I just want to point out here, I don't know how many of our listeners or just fans or people at home have ever tried muting the TV and doing a play-by-play, but I know the PWHPA players like the back of my hand. I've played with half of them. I know them in the hallways. Something happens to my brain when I watch hockey and try to commentate it, that I would get the teams messed up if I was in your shoes. And I think especially, you're coming off this brain injury, you're wrestling with things, I'm sure emotionally, kind of transitioning out of being an elite or varsity athlete. And it just like, boom, like it just came naturally to you. I can't imagine if someone was like, Knoxy, you're going to call the next PA game by yourself, do play by play. I would do what he did. Headset down, walk away. Like, no, I'm not.
We should try it. You should do play by play next year.
Oh my God.
I don't think we should. It's fantastic. That's so cool. And then, now people out east know you as the play by play for the Moosehead. So why don't you tell us a little bit about how you got involved with them and kind of what you're doing out east?
Yeah. So 2013 is when I start doing play-by-play for the universities. Have a lot of fun with that. I'll dampen the mood for just a minute, but I promise it's going somewhere. In 2015, I was at the height of this. Like, I was doing women's soccer, rugby, football, basketball, volleyball. Like we were doing every single thing. The AUS bought into us. Bella Lyant bought a huge contract with the AUS to have me and Bill be kind of like the stars of all the championships. So he would do the men's, I would do the women's. On the odd chance, like football, there were no other championships that conflicted. We would do them together. And I got a call in November of 2015. I was at the women's soccer championships. He was at the men's soccer championships. And we were supposed to go to football on Saturday. It was kind of like a day off for the soccer stuff. And he said, you know what? I don't think I need you. Just rest. My mom was visiting for the weekend. And he said, enjoy the time with your mom and we'll be fine. And Sunday I got a call that he never showed up. And I said, well, you know, he's got a young daughter and maybe he had an emergency and had to go home and didn't think anything of it. I drove home that night from the soccer championship, still not thinking anything of it. And I got a phone call from another friend saying Bill is missing. And I'll try not to get emotional. I always do at this point. But he lost his battle with mental health. And this is not what I expected.
Sorry,
but yeah, he committed suicide that night. And he didn't want me to be at the football game because he wasn't going to be there. And I was probably the one person who knew him the best and would kind of ring alarm bells for that event outside of his family. So I walked away. It was really hard to broadcast without him. Mm-hmm. So I walked away for 3 years. Wow. I did finish the season. I got to the end and I just said, like, I can't do this. It's too hard. And I thought I wanted to be a hockey coach. That didn't work out. But I thought I was getting too confident maybe with like the broadcasting. I was like, I can do this myself. But anyways, so that kind of led me to Eastlink and the Mooseheads. I got a call saying, you know, you had a talent for this and you got to get back into it. Mm-hmm. And you just got to dive in. And I did. And it's Kenzie Lalone, who I owe a great debt of gratitude to, because she really said, you know, I knew Bill and right, you have a talent for this. You got to do it. So
he would want you to be there.
Yeah, so we did the PWHPA games in 2020, and I did like women's, girls, high school hockey. That was kind of my like intro back into it, and it was the PWHPA game that I said, this is, I think, what I'm meant to be, and I think Bill always knew that, and he always laughed and said, you know, you're gonna love coaching for the rest of your life, but this is what you're meant to do, and you can always do coaching on the side. But this is what you're going to be doing for the rest of your life. And I thought he was crazy. I thought I was the greatest hockey coach ever. So
we're going to have to touch back on your coaching career.
But no, we don't have to. It was short lived. But yeah, sorry to dampen the mood. That is my broadcasting story, though. And that is,
it led to be honest, Izzy, thank you for sharing. Is what Knoxy and I want to say here. And this man had an impact on you, and he still does, and he would want you to do what you love, and it is what you're doing with, you know, being the voice of the PA now, and what you keep on going to do for the rest of your career, I think.
I didn't honestly, like, I didn't know that story, and I got chills because the idea, and I don't mean to sound self-righteous, like I really thank you first and foremost for sharing that story with us. Yeah. The idea that the PWHPA having the opportunity to come back east, looking for a play-by-play, having the resources to have a play-by-play and a color commentator, having that opportunity land with Kenzie, and Kenzie reaching out to you to saying, you know, this is your opportunity to get back into it. Like, this is part of understanding why it's so important that we give space for, you know, for people who want to be involved in our sport, especially for female voices, because who knows? I'm sure you would have found your way back into the calling the games. And I'm sure, like, I really do believe in, like, you know, the universe would have steered you somehow towards us. Yeah. But for it to be that, you know, the story behind that, I think, is really touching. And we're so grateful because that call, so I was at home. I couldn't make it out to Truro when the PWHPA went in our first year in 2020. That would have been last year.
Thank God. Right?
I wasn't doing color or anything at that point anyways. I think I was half playing. I don't know.
Yeah, you were half playing because you played for me that year.
You were supposed to be playing because I do remember talking about you and saying that you were home.
Yeah, that's when she was talking about the oldest players in the PW. Like, that's the message I got out of that. And I was mentioned too, and I didn't love it. But hey, it's okay.
It was into the category of most goals ever scored on a goalie. No, but I wasn't out there. I was at home, and I heard you and Kenzie on the call, and shamelessly I just DM'd both of you and was like, this is fucking awesome. Like, I'm at home, I'm a consumer in this, in this tour stop, I'm just listening, and I was like, this is what we need. Like, you guys know your shit, you know your players, you know the game. It was like, I want, in that moment I was like, I want these two the rest of this, like however long this goes, I want the two of them. So
I have to give Kenzie so much credit, though, because I think it's so special to have women in your life that support other women in the industry. It's a cutthroat industry. There are very, very few positions in general for any human being, let alone two women. And so when I got that call from Kenzie, and it was, it was just an appreciation of talent for both of us. And I think Kenzie has done an incredible job. I'm her biggest fan. But for her to say, come on back and let's do this and let's restart your career. And, it was never a competition. It was, for her, it was never like, oh God, don't ask Izzy because I want to be the voice, or I want to be the person. She was supportive from day one and still is so supportive. And I couldn't be happier for what she's done. But I'll forever be grateful for her making that call, because I was in a bad place myself, just like not knowing where I needed to go.
Mm-hmm. Understandably so. And so we're talking all about your commentating for hockey, but before we move on, we did hear, little tidbits that maybe you dabbled outside of hockey. You talked a little bit about your sports coverage in the AUS. Maybe take us through the two TV shows that you were a part of in university. TV Star.
Go through the fun time, yes.
Yes. So Bill had this idea, and he had the craziest ideas. And I'm thankful that I said yes every time, but sometimes I was like, I don't know why I said yes. The Inside the AUS show was a show that went from September-ish to end of season, so like March, for the AUS. So we would talk every sport, interview the athletes, coaches, fans. It was a really supportive show for the AUS, and it was great. And then one summer he said, let's travel around Atlantic Canada. And it was called the East Coast Sports Show. And it was, I was thinking when I was like, oh my God, okay, like soccer championships, great. Like lacrosse champion, like these really cool events. And he was like, no, we're going to St. John, New Brunswick. And if you've never been to St. John, New Brunswick, then just look at the tone of my voice and how I'm saying that. And we're going to do I don't even know what it's called, but it's some sort of derby. And these parents were building these race cars.
It's like boîte à savon in French. I don't know what it's called in English, but it's like
soapbox.
Boîte à savon, soapbox. Like you build your own little car.
So it is called a soapbox race. That's what it is.
But I
swear it was parents building these wooden structures that were not safe.
Okay.
And they were launching their children from the top of a hill, a road, and just shooting them down. Bill was at the top. He would interview the kid being like, how do you feel about launching yourself down a hill? The kids would be like, I'm ready. And I would be at the bottom, and I would just be like, they survived. Bill, back to you. There was really nothing else to it.
What I'm picturing is, oh shit, what is it?
Little Rascal.
Is it Wipeout? When they voice over what the kids are saying, it's like, I'm not wearing a bra. Whatever, weird thing they say.
Something silly.
And I was supposed to interview these kids at the bottom. Imagine, I think the oldest kid would have been 15, and all they did was sit there's no steering, there's no braking, there was just foam at the end, and we would, not me, someone would catch them. And I would be like, how did you feel about your race? And they would be like, who's this lady?
Lady, you're scaring us.
Yeah, what is she doing here? And sometimes I'd get it was really, really fun. And I'd be like, oh, okay, great.
Little Jimmy's going to go over to medical now.
So we did stuff like that. I did dodgeball. I did a French. It's called Jeu d'Acadie in PEI. It was dodgeball, handball. we did all kinds of crazy stuff, but I think that's part of voice work. I think I've not only done hockey, but through these experiences with Bill, I was forced into learning about rugby. I had no idea the rules of rugby, but here I am on the sidelines interviewing these rugby players, and you have to know enough to ask the right questions, I guess.
Right.
Seriously.
But yeah, it was a lot of fun. We did the East Coast Sports Show was one season. We did 2 or 3 seasons of Inside the AUS. So
nice.
Yeah, it was a good
so
time.
cool. Okay, wait. So you did the Les Jeux de l'Acadie. We have Les Jeux du Québec here. I'm pretty sure is there Ontario games too?
I think Les Jeux des Francophonies.
Yeah. So, okay, Jeux de l'Acadie, were you going and kind of like doing it all French and English, or how did that go
French.
there?
Yeah.
Look at you. So
dodgeball in French.
How did that go?
Well, you just...
And Karell prend le ballon et le lance.
Il s'est fait frapper. Il s'est pas fait frapper.
He got hit. He didn't get hit.
Il a attrapé la balle.
He got it. Okay, I love that.
It was a lot of just like, I don't know. And if that's any advice I can give to someone, like, don't ever think that you're too big for any of those little moments, because those events were probably the ones that parents would come up to me the most. Like, I felt like a full celebrity when I would be at these events, because they'd see me walk in and be like, my grandmother's watching. Thank you so much. And I'd be like, somebody's watching this? Oh my God. Okay. So
you just give it an importance, right? And a real like visibility too. So I get it. It's
oh my God.
fun.
Having those kids on like TV for them was
seriously
the highlight of their life.
With the whole talking about Les Jeux de l'Acadie and the French stuff and everything, first of all, I want to know, where did you learn your French? Because Isabelle Germain, super French.
Both my parents are from Montreal. Yeah.
Okay, so originally from Montreal. You never lived in Montreal, though.
No. No.
So Guelph, and then they just kept their French and whatever. Okay, with that being said, I know I asked you this before, but I said one day, hey, would you ever be able to do play-by-play in French for hockey? Mm-hmm. How far away from it are you, and where is it going? That's one question, and I have a second one afterwards for you. Because I love it. So your voice is beautiful in English, and I think it's beautiful in French. So I think we're missing out on the play-by-play on our side of the world a little bit. So that's why I'm asking.
Yeah, so I did actually, for the AUS, we have U2M, so Université de Moncton. Mm-hmm. And when they they won the championship, don't quote me on the year, but like 2014.
Roxane Pronovo was there on the bunch of Frenchies. Véronique.
So those games, when we did all of the games on AUS TV, those games in Moncton were a full French broadcast. Oh, so because Moncton made it to the finals, I was the play-by-play person, I was the color person for the French broadcast in those. The issue that I have with French play-by-play or even color is I'm so used to doing it in English. So my brain automatically reverts to like the English saying. So I remember one thing that I kept like blanking on was crease. Like I kept wanting to be like, the puck is in the crease, and I would get la rondelle, and then I'd be like, oh, crease. So when I'm speaking to Pooh or you on the road, like I fluently speak English or French, and it's not a problem. I sometimes miss my words if I haven't been there in a while, but it's more so that my knowledge of the game has always been in English. And that's where I would probably struggle with play-by-play. And that's me being honest and just, I would have to practice. And I think the more that I think like Pooh laughed at me when I showed up in Montreal on Friday, and she was like, oh, we can speak English. And I was like, no, I need to practice. By Sunday, I'll be good. And by Sunday, she was like, it's actually quite impressive how you got it back so quickly. And it's really just the environment that I'm in is always English. And then when I get back to Quebec, it just takes me a day to kind of get my flow back. And then I'm good.
And one thing to that, and Knoxy, will go back to you after we are done with the French. I'm taking over here. But I will say too, like even in French, when we learn hockey or whatever, it's all about to back check, to forecheck, to lance au but, to score des buts, like it's a lot of English or Fringlish that's in there. And even like le disque is a puck instead of like la rondelle. Like there's terms that like you would have to obviously learn, but it's just a baggage of like vocab that we would have to do. And it's not necessarily what you use on the daily either. So even when I did a couple analysis, like I'm tossing some English in there and I'm like, oh, I'm French. Why am I like, I am fully French and I can't think of this stupid échec avant. Like this is forecheck, right?
And
like,
you're right. Like a lot of people in Montreal use slang.
Yeah. Like
so then it becomes more difficult.
No. So anyways, that was my little, I think you should learn a bit more vocab and then get to it, because I'd love for you to actually get some French here.
If the Habs could start like winning, I would watch more, but
then you'd have something to be excited about.
You need to get the channel. You need to get that. Okay. So my last question was, during Worlds, I actually was watching you and everything, and I caught obviously the final, right? And more to it. And we could hear you on TV. Like we could hear you in house, obviously saying everything. And how important is it for you to pronunciate the, French speaking players with a French accent? Like we can talk about Marie-Philippe and we can talk about Joshua Roy, or these guys that could, like Marie-Philippe Poulin or Joshua Roy, whatever you name them, however it is. Some people don't necessarily care or don't know, so we can't ask them for it. But I thought your little touch for it was personally amazing. Why do you do it? Like, why is it important to you?
I'll thank my dad for that. My dad is very firm on the fact that he called me Isabelle.
Okay.
It's not Isabelle.
It's okay.
And I think that's why my dad has always like preferred my nickname of Izzy when people are speaking to me in English, because he's not like listening to people butcher my name. Same with like the last name of Germain. Like it's not Germain, it's Germain. And Kax, you would know, like it's Karell Emard, not Karell Emard.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, guys.
Sorry.
No, don't be.
It's gonna ignore Knoxy for a second. But obviously it has never bothered me. But so we get pronunciation guides sometimes if we're lucky for the players' names. And specifically Joshua, his name was written Joshua. And then his last name was written W-O-H. And so Wa, which sounds similar if you say it quickly to Wa. But his whole family was there. And to me, if that was my parents and someone said Isabelle Germain over the announcement instead of Isabelle Germain, my dad would lose his mind. And I didn't realize how loud my voice was over the broadcast. So obviously TSN was very visibly there, but TSN was actually, or RDS, sorry, was right next to me in a booth that like I couldn't really see them all the time. And the guy from RDS just came over and thanked me. Probably 4 or 5 games in.
Stéphane Leroux, probably.
I honestly didn't get a name, which is like
it's
horrible.
okay. I will.
But you can say thanks.
Yeah, I will.
They just said like it's, people think that because we're a bilingual country, that is why I was doing bilingual announcements. But really, it's also for TSN and RDS who invest so much money into this event so that the people at home could hear it. RDS in French, TSN in English, but I didn't realize how loud I was over the broadcast.
And it wasn't bad. Like it was like we could hear you clearly. It was perfect. Like they would almost let you talk, to be honest.
Yeah. And so like people watching in Quebec and, we just talked about Marie, like I get made fun of sometimes because I call her Marie. And I get that her nickname is Pooh, and I get that in English they call her Mary Philip, or like the other day someone called her Philippe. And it's like I get that there's nicknames, but I just try to honor someone's given name as much as possible. And her name is Marie-Philippe Poulin. And it is the like coolest name to say. So I do catch myself saying her name in full all the time because it's just the coolest name. But yeah, I think it's more so just honoring and hoping that the families are appreciative of the fact that I'm saying it correctly.
I love that. And this might be silly for a lot of people, but when you even said that during your explanation and whatnot, I got little goosebumps because I was just picturing my dad or my mom or both of them in the stands and like hearing my name said the proper way. And it's like touchy for them. It's like something special. Like they chose that name, right? Your dad chose Isabelle Germain for a reason, right? So yeah, thank you for doing that, by the way.
I think too, like we've seen in the NHL, certain players' indigenous names being, shown as they are spelled in their traditional, language. I mean, it gives importance and it gives visibility to where these players come from. Fortunately for me, Knox is just like, it's just It's
Knox,
pretty
where's
much,
that from?
it's exactly what it looks like.
Liz
If you know your
knows.
KNs, I guess. I have had Knox, but
I like it.
it is important though. It's important to recognize these families. And I do love that you make a point to give the proper pronunciation in women's hockey, especially. We're trying to grow brands and we're trying to grow recognition for these players. And it's quite hard to do so when they get called 3 or 4 different names, depending on who's on the call. So keep up the great work there.
Thank you.
We talked a little bit about, kind of your opportunity coming back to the PWHPA, but that wasn't the only connection that you had with the PA. So maybe talk us through a little bit about some of the networks that, you had existing that have, I'm sure, flourished since you joined us back on the call.
Yeah, I mean, obviously people have seen my double OT goal from when I was 10. So
True.
I'm very fortunate to have a lot of national member friends. You know what? I think it's all just being a good person and being, I love to talk. We could do this podcast for the next 6 hours and I would always have stories to tell. But no, Jill has been a part of my life for a long time. Jill Saunier. Jill just lived on my couch one summer. I didn't even know her. I got home from a road trip one time doing the East Coast Sports Show and she was just there. And,
That's such a Jill Saunier story.
That is. And I just said hi and she asked me if I wanted to go. We have, a carnival here in Halifax every summer. It's the best time. It's on the water and she couldn't find anybody to go. And I had just walked through the door and she was like, do you want to go with me? And I was like, sure. And we had the best time ever. And this is all before Jill became Jill Saunier. So, she had just graduated Cornell. She obviously had been a part of the U18, U22 program. I didn't really know much about that. As a big star that I am, I didn't really care, I guess, about the accolades.
Didn't matter with the peasants.
But have you seen my 2002 OWHA championship? So we just had the best summer and just became the best as friends. I think in life, sometimes you just meet someone and that connection is there. And I can probably count how many months in total in our 10 years of friendship that me and Jill have actually been in the same room together. I don't think it would account to even a year, but every time, I don't hear from her for a few days. It's never awkward. We never have to be I haven't heard from you in so long. Let's catch up. It's really just, we go up wherever we started.
Wherever it was, yeah.
So we stayed really close and just through her experiences and, she just has the craziest ideas, guys. And I've kind of realized that I'm the problem.
No, I think what happens is you make them happen.
I say yes. So she came up with this idea of doing a hockey camp, and I was like, sure, I can do that. And then she disappears for 10 months of the year and comes back and says, "Do we have a hockey camp?"
Is it done?
And I'm like, yes, yeah, it's done.
Yes, we do. It's organized and promoted, and here we are.
So through that, I met Kax and Hillary and Pooh and all of those girls, and it's. Everybody keeps asking me for favors of running hockey camps or things like that, but it's flattering, and it's something that I love to do in the time that I was coaching.
We know you have experience, so they're like, "Hey, we're running a camp. Would you help us out?"
Exactly. Yeah, I never see payment, but I get paid in love.
I got it. No, that's not fair. I gotta talk to the old big boss.
Yeah, let's talk to the head of these organizations here.
No.
And I do want to give you a chance to kind of plug the Jill Saunier Foundation here, because you're doing more than just organizing hockey camps, which albeit is a task in and of itself, something I would not be able to do. But talk us through a little bit of what you're doing for her foundation, what initiatives the foundation has coming up, where the proceeds go. Plug away. This is your moment.
All right. This is the craziest idea she had. The hockey camps were fun. But she called me in April and I was at breakfast and I said, yeah, let's talk about it. My Instagram blew up in 3 seconds because she posted it on hers. So we started a foundation, I guess, one morning, and it's called the Jill Saunier Foundation. And basically we're raising proceeds. Last year, our proceeds went to the Ukrainian Resettlement Fund of Nova Scotia to help Ukrainian families that were resettling here in Nova Scotia. I hosted my first ever golf tournament here in Nova Scotia. That was the most amount of fun ever. I was the most amount of work that I've ever done. This year we've taken on a different charity. So we're working with the Ronald McDonald House and the IWK Health Centre. The IWK Health Centre is our only children's and women's hospital here in Halifax and caters to all of Atlantic Canada. So with the help of the Ronald McDonald House, we are actually sponsoring a wellness room within the IWK Centre for families that are in the IWK for treatment. And this room would host events, kind of like a women's hockey night. And it would also have programming for kids and families. So right now we're selling this necklace that I'm wearing. I don't know if we can see it, available on our website, jillsani11.com. All the proceeds towards the necklace go towards our end goal of opening this wellness room in 2023. And I guess I have to get to work on another golf tournament because people keep emailing me about that.
They just loved it so much they want to participate again, and sponsor roles, and talk about the options for companies to help you guys out too.
Thanks, Kax.
Yeah, you should.
So we have I tried to keep the theme obviously of Olympics coming off of Jill's Olympic gold medal. But so we have gold, silver, bronze, packages for sponsorships within the tournament that kind of get you different things. And then our whole sponsors, cart sponsors, title sponsor, etc. So, I will start planning that probably in the next month or so. 3 months was not enough to plan an entire event. And it was really well attended, and we had a wait list of people who wanted to join, and I actually had to turn people away last year. So I'm hoping that we get the same reception this year. But yeah, it's an amazing initiative, and I'm so happy that I get to be a part of it.
That's incredible. Awesome. We will make sure that we link that foundation on this episode. So if you're watching on Spotify or YouTube, you can kind of click through that. If you're interested, we'd love to give our support to the foundation and those great causes that you have lined up. I prepared a game for today, and I named it What You Say Is What You Get. The is like you. You get
That's
it?
That's me. Yeah. Okay, cool. Okay. Good.
That one landed. So I've prepared some tongue twisters that we have no plan. We're just going to go through. Maybe we'll each do one of the longer ones. And we're going to see how we fare here. I will preface this by saying, I stumble over regular, easy sentences and words. I think I stumbled over your name in the intro. So I don't predict this is going to go well for me, but we're going to have a challenge here. And Kax,
you have the French kid on the other side.
I tried intentionally to leave out sounds that aren't
THs
used in French, but you guys know how my French is too, so I could have completely.
Yeah, those aren't too bad. I'm looking at my little square there. Is this cheating, by the way? If I'm looking at it now?
That's what's there. So each of us has kind of almost like a cue card with a long, medium, and short saying. Do you guys want to start long or start short?
Let's get the worst over with.
Okay.
Yeah,
the long ones.
Long.
Yeah.
Okay. Since you're the guest on the show. Oh, actually, you should go last.
No, yeah. There's no way. I can start.
Okay, Kax, you start us off.
I can make that, the baseline here, guys. Okay. So let's step up after I go. All right. Is the thing. So I was told to try to say that before. So this is going to be good. All right. How much wood would a woodchuck chuck? No. If a woodchuck could chuck wood, he would as much as he could, and chuck as much wood as a woodchuck would if a woodchuck could chuck wood. I really was slow. I was slow though. That was tough. That was tough.
You rocked that. I don't think there was actually any errors. So
that was good.
So far, you're 5 out of 5.
I was hoping you'd be a little bit worse, to be honest, because now I'm a little bit more stressed.
Come on, that was the slowest way.
You were supposed to set the bar low.
Okay, I'll go next.
Okay.
Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. A peck of pickled peppers Peter Piper picked. If Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers, where's the peck of pickled peppers Peter Piper picked?
I heard two stumble on here, but that's
follow that. But that's fine.
That was really fast.
That was my game plan, was just to go so fast that you wouldn't catch my errors.
Is the point to go fast or not to make
I was going to say, I cheated them because I went slow.
Okay.
Both. But we gave Izzy the hardest one, of course, so.
Okay, easy. Let's go.
3. I need like a cue here. Okay, here we go.
3, 2, 1, go.
Betty Butter bought some butter, but she said the butter's bitter. If I put it in my batter, it will make my batter bitter. But a bit of better butter will make my batter better. So 'twas better. Betty Butter bought a bit of better butter.
Yes.
One little stumble. That was great. You even had
Never
like
heard
the
that in my
tone. It
life.
was like a little rap thingy.
Yeah,
it felt
yeah,
like,
it
you
was
know?
very.
Yeah, I was like, oh, okay.
A certain rhythm to it.
Slim Shady.
Oh my God. Stand up.
Okay.
Do we want to switch it up?
Yeah, let's switch it up.
Like in the order?
Sure.
So-
Okay, I'll go again.
Okay.
I'm on a roll
Yeah.
here. Are we
Hit
going medium?
Sure, if you want. I picked this
Okay.
one for you because if you don't know, Izzy's daytime job is at an auto dealer.
Yeah,
And she
big,
Not
big
this one
girl
though,
job.
but
My one of
of
5
it.
jobs. Okay, here we go. Red Buick, blue Buick, red Buick, blue Buick, red Buick, blue Buick.
Wow.
That's
okay.
all I had to do. 3
that
times.
was great.
Easy.
Crushed
Thank
it.
you.
Let's hear yours, Knoxy. Let's go.
Oh gosh. A skunk sat on a stump and thunk the stump skunk. But
Stunk.
thunk the stunk.
Thank God you didn't give me that. That's awful.
What makes me laugh is that you picked these. You picked that for yourself.
like you gave
You
yourself
set
the
yourself
worst.
up for a loss.
And then
I don't
you
even
give
know
us
if that's
like
grammatically an act. Like, does that make sense? I think it does. Yeah. No. Yeah, it does.
It was good. Good job.
Yeah. Okay, mine. If a dog chews shoes, whose shoes does he choose?
Wow.
What?
That was
was so
too
easy.
easy. That should have been in the short one.
Whatever.
Okay, Kax, you
You
have
give
to
it to
go.
me.
You have to go your short one now.
Okay, ready?
I thought this would be hard for the French, but I may be wrong.
4 fine fresh fish for you.
She just nailed it.
Yeah. Okay.
She heard the dig and she said, I'm knocking this one out of the park.
Here you go, Knoxy.
This is for all the Frenchies out there.
Represent, baby. You go,
Oh, God.
Knoxy.
All
Let's
right,
see.
I'll go and Izzy can finish the game off.
Yeah.
I saw a kitten eating chicken in the kitchen.
That was easy and really good. Well
That
done.
was super easy too.
Easy.
All right.
Mine's not
hear
as
what-
easy.
It was
guys.
not easy.
All right. Which wristwatches are Swiss watches?
That was good.
Swiss
I tried this one when I was looking them up.
Swiss
and
wristwatches.
yeah, that's one of the tougher ones.
Swiss-
Great job, everyone.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
good job.
A for effort.
Yeah. We did well.
So we're running close to time, but we've got about 10
yet.
minutes.
We got
I
more if
wanted
we
to
want
ask you, Izzy, your roommate Smack, which is
She's going to love this.
this is the best. Like that's a great handle. That's a great nickname. I wish I had something cool like
Yeah.
that. Smack, who
Knoxy. I mean,
it's
We all have
fine.
cool nicknames.
kidding?
Yeah. She actually helped us with our game day ops out in Truro. She has a New Year's resolution, as he was telling me, to manifest things the way that you do. So my 2 questions are, first, what does she mean by this? Where does this come from? And second, what are you manifesting for the next 1 to 5 years?
I like it.
Well, I think this will help me kind of go back to my Mooseheads question that I cried through. I've always so I'm a Pisces. If anybody has any horoscope love or believes in that,
I do.
I am a Pisces through and through, except for the creative part. But I'm a dreamer and I'm constantly living in this world of dreams and sometimes forget that reality. You mentioned my automotive job. That's when I get to my desk and I'm like, oh, I'm not super famous and travel the world broadcasting.
Hello, my goal
Can I help you?
Yeah, what's happening? Why is someone complaining that their tire blew? Couldn't don't care. No offense. Did you hear I'm famous? But so I guess just growing up, I love to talk. My poor parents had to put up with it, and I guess someone said to me did you think this would happen? And I was like, didn't we all think I would end up in an industry where nobody could shut me up? Literally, I can just talk the entire broadcast about whatever I want, and that's the broadcast. And they thought that was pretty funny. So I've always manifested this. I love women's hockey. You couldn't find a bigger fan of women's hockey. I'm someone who loves statistics. I love stats. I love knowing about the players, and I you could ask me any question about any Olympic Games since 98 and I have the answer for you. Don't test that though. I'm about to set myself up there. But, you know, I guess she was talking to a friend and the friend was like, you know, Izzy's always talked about being a part of something like this, a professional women's hockey league. Izzy's always talked about, you know, I have a little bit of confidence and maybe it's a little bit of an ego problem. Jill brings it down quite a bit sometimes. She helps in that way. Because I had like my 15 minutes of fame on Friday and I was like, Jill, I'm like more famous than you. And her friends called me to tell me that she got recognized at a bowling alley in the outskirts of Montreal. And I was like, this was my day. This was my day. But so yeah, I guess I've always just thought there was more for me out there, and I've had a rough couple of years as I cried again because I'm still going through that. But I guess when that happened to me, you do have this moment of pity of like, why are these things happening to me and why can't I get my big break? And I was watching people around me. My dad always knew he wanted to be a pilot. And I have so many friends that I went to university with who are in careers, love their careers, have been in their careers. I'm not going to tell you how old I am, but have been in their careers for quite a long time. And here I am just like working through, just still trying to get my big break, I guess. And, but I always knew that there was something bigger for me and I constantly dreamed it. And, you know, even just being able to say that I'm friends with Hillary. I'm wearing her jersey, by the way. Nobody's mentioned
I wanted to pump that jersey. Yeah, let's see it.
Like, but, you know, just to be as close as I am with Hill and even Jill and like Pooh and them, like these are girls that I've grown up watching. And now like my phone will go off and it's one of them asking me how my day's going. Like that's beyond what little Izzy would have thought would have happened to her. But I guess I dreamed it and I worked hard. And my best advice and the Mooseheads gig is this. When I got that call to do the Mooseheads, I didn't think I was ready. I hadn't been in broadcasting in 3 years. I had done the PWHPA game as color and that was fun. But to your point, Knoxy, I knew all the girls. So it was really easy for me to say, you know, Kax has the puck, Knoxy has the puck, or Knoxy didn't get the puck because she wasn't there.
Knoxy
She made a save. No, she made a save.
Let it in again. But so that felt easy to me. And that was a good way to like reintroduce myself. But to do play-by-play on a full TV broadcast and be the lead. And I was also the host for the first 3 episodes. So getting to interview the athletes and stuff like that. I didn't know if I was ready for that level of work, but I said yes. And that's always been my motto. Same with the PA. I've never been a PA announcer, never even done it once. I think I did it for like one of Jill's charity games, like an announcement. But I said yes. And I always tell myself I'm going to figure it out and I'm going to do the best that I can and we'll see what comes of it. And it's always experience, even if it doesn't really go the way that you want it to go. So that's my advice to everything. Say yes to scary things. And I'm glad that message has kind of gone through my friend group. Like that was really quite a special moment for Smack to tell me that was a part of her conversation with a friend. And that other people recognize that, you know, I've been through struggles. I wouldn't wish the struggles that I've been on, or been through on anybody else. And I know we all have our battles, and I think that's why you have to be kind. You just don't know what people are going through day to day. And what might be hard for you, Knoxy, might not be hard for me, but it doesn't diminish your hard, right? And that's kind of been my motto the last few years. And I'm so happy that I said yes and that here I am. What am I manifesting the next 1.5 years? Sorry, I'm talking a lot.
No, this is good. Keep going.
I warned you though. Honestly, right now it's getting out of the automotive industry. It's getting rid of my day job and doing this full time. And with you guys and with the other girls, it's manifesting a full professional women's hockey league. Yeah. They deserve it more than anybody. And they've been pushing for it. You've been pushing for it.
I'm going to pause you right here.
Yeah,
you said day, right? Day to player. They deserve it. I think you deserve it. I think a coach deserves it. I think a GM deserves it. I think we need to also think that this professional league will give opportunities to more than players. And, you know, it's, you want to do this on the regular and, you know, it's your one full-time job. Well, keep on manifesting that, because then you're going with us on that, you know, beautiful journey we're doing or finalizing or whatever it is. But I think that whatever league is about to happen needs to have these opportunities that you're talking about for many, many different like job opportunities or descriptions. Like we're going to open a I was going to say a shit ton load of doors for job opportunities in the next few years. So it's not just they, it's you as well too, Izzy.
I totally agree. There's so many people behind the scenes in the PWHPA that do deserve roles in operations, coaching, medical. There's so much more, but that's what I'm manifesting. I would love to say to someone and a young girl, and Sarah Nurse said this first, so I'm not going to take credit for it. And she nailed it. I was at the gym the other day and a lady sitting next to me on the rower, I was dying. She was not. She looked way older than me. So like that was just to begin. And she said, I can't wait to tell my son, he's 9 years old, that I worked out with the PA announcer of the World Juniors. And I thought that was special because she didn't say my little girl. Yeah. And obviously we know that we're role models for little girls. And I didn't realize that probably until Friday, until my phone started going off and people were saying my little girl. I got videos of girls like listening and reacting to me on TV, and that's just beyond special. But to hear a little boy would get so excited to hear that his mom worked out with the PA announcer who's female, that's just talent recognizing talent, really. Like it just, I really appreciated that. And I didn't appreciate that she was like kicking my butt on the rower, but I appreciated that. And those are the moments that you realize, like, you guys have seen it longer than I have, but my gosh, traveling with the PWHPA and being in arenas and taking it for granted that I'm walking with Hillary Knight, just having a conversation about whatever, and seeing kids and girls, boys, parents even react the way that they react to her presence is insane experience. Same with Pooh. Like it's the craziest feeling to be around them and to see the reaction they get out from people. And I gave away some sign sticks in Ottawa, and like, I just made these people's days, and it wasn't my autograph. Now they probably regret that.
Now they do regret that.
Opportunity missed.
But it is such a special feeling. And I hope we can keep that momentum going. And I hope that we can get a full thing up sooner rather than later.
I love that. Okay. One final question. You can snap your fingers and you're on the call or announcing any game, past, present, future, or a combination of the two. What game or games are you calling?
Okay, the first one is the 2014 Olympic finals. Again, like an overtime goal call is insane. So with the World Juniors, it was 2-0. I was like, oh, this is kind of boring. Like I was practicing the gold medal script, being like, okay, this is just going to be like a monotone. Here. I'll get a little bit more excited here. But to be able to call that Dylan Gunther goal when the crowd was still mind-blowingly like loud, and to scream over them essentially to get the call out, and then like everything was just more exciting. So to be the play-by-play voice,
tie it up,
that tying goal, and then
just so everyone knows, in case they don't know, 2014 was like we were losing 3-0, right? Canada, and then 2-0. Yeah, maybe. Jenner scored, and then you're right.
Izzy knows.
2-0. Izzy knows. 2-0. Jenner scores. Then Pooh ties it up, and then there's a penalty taken in OT, and then we're looking at exchange to 14-0 to Pooh, 14-0 to Pooh,
and the post.
Yes,
and like imagine being in the booth and yelling like, Team USA shoots the puck down the ice and saying it hit the post. Like I would just be like, it hit the post.
And it like froze time. Like everyone's watchers, it was like, oh, like we're all just like, oh, and then I can imagine being in the booth with a microphone being like, oh, what is happening? Like
I remember
puck is just crawling. Like, it's crazy.
I remember this old scenario too. It's off of a face-off. Cat Ward's at the blue line. I remember talking to her about it, and she goes, I went to stop the puck, and that stupid referee was like there, and she couldn't. So she goes, I was back checking. Stack has the puck in front of me, and all I did was like slash the referee. I was so mad. Slashes the referee. Stack misses, hit the post. First person to get it, Gusta, and then we go back. I mean,
that would be my number one. Yeah, I guess like if I want to play not devil's advocate, if I want to be fair to like my American friends who I now am in love with, and I struggle now to cheer, but Hill's overtime goal in 2012.
Yeah.
That's also like an epic one because you see so many people on the ground and she just like storms in like a train and just slaps that puck in like nobody's business. And it was just epic. Like even as a Canadian fan back then, I was like, oh, that was pretty sick.
And like a Hillary Knight overtime USA game winning goal is like synonymous with USA hockey. Like that's like, it's almost like too good to be.
I think I was going to say the one in Detroit, when they were like boycotting that year, 2017 or something. And then she scored an OT with Kendall, where they were coming down, and then the celly and everything. That one was like crazy as well too.
Anything in overtime, put me in, coach.
Yeah, Izzy's looking for an overtime. Well, Izzy, we want to thank you so much for coming on the Knoxy and Kax show. We hope that your story reaches new audiences, inspires a new generation of commentators, and of course opens doors for the next great adventure that you will find yourself on. I want to especially thank you for sharing Bill's story and honoring him and what you do every day. Very, very cool stuff.
Thank you.
We're so proud of you. We're proud to have you as part
Thanks
of the
for having me.
PWHPA.
This is so fun.
You can show your support for the PWHPA and even catch Izzy live in action at our upcoming showcases: Owen Sound in Collingwood, Peterborough, Niagara, Barrie and Kitchener, Tampa, Washington. All that information and more at pwhpa.com and on social at PWHPA. That's it for this week's episode. Again, thank you guys so much, Izzy. You're fantastic.
Thanks for coming, Izzy.
Guys.
Merci.
Thank you so much for having me. Merci beaucoup.
The Knoxy and Kax Show on SDPN, produced in partnership with the PWHPA and presented by Sports Interaction.
Want to bet?
Follow Knoxy and Kax on Twitter at 27Knoxy and at Karell. The views expressed are those of the individuals and are not necessarily those of the PWHPA. Check out sdpn.ca for more Knoxy and Kax and the rest of the SDPN crew.
She scores!